No, I literally lost all my money in Doge. Oh, we're live.
Oh,
Hey,
did you
what's going
actually
on,
though?
guys? No, I did not.
It'll go back up. Don't worry. Hold strong. Buy more
What?
Bitcoin.
Jeez. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Survivor Buffs. It's time to podcast, as they say. We are doing something fun today. I think we are going to talk, but we're not dreamcasting. We're not tier ranking. We're not interviewing anyone today. What
Yeah.
we're doing today is we are going to be discussing how a Survivor cold weather season could or could not work.
Yes.
If you've been watching this from the start, we did a video called Pitching Season Theme Ideas, where we kind of took turns pitching future season themes. And I definitely think that's something that we're going to go back and do a part two and a part
Yes.
three. Because it seemed to you guys seem to like that a lot. But the one that got the most response and seemed to generate the most interest was me pitching the idea of a cold weather season. Gideon was a skeptic, which I think most people are. I think when most Survivor fans hear that, they're like, "Oh, that would be cool," but it would never happen. Um, and I'm not saying that a Survivor cold weather season is going to happen, that it's going to be easy, that it's going to be the best season ever. We're just talking. We're just talking here, and I'm gonna try to convince Gideon. So as you see in the thumbnail,
You will not
um,
convince me. I apologize, but you won't.
as you see in the thumbnail, the shout out to Pump Smash. Go follow him on Reddit. Pump Smash is a redditor
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
used that
Redditor. Redditor. I'm also a
redditor.
Redditor.
Okay, he's a redditor that makes Survivor fan made custom logos. So pretty much all the logos you've seen in our channel so far in our thumbnails come from Pump Smash.
Uh-huh.
So it's Survivor Russia in the thumbnail, Siberian coast. That does not mean we're specifically pitching Russia. However, our names had to match.
All
Had to
right.
match it. So
But hear me out. And to everybody in the chat right now that is a fan of mine, hello. I am a sussy baka. Now I have to make this clear. So I'm not canceled. If we are doing the season in Russia, just let it be known I hate communism. Communism is bad. All right. All right. Pitch it to me now, I guess.
all right. So here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna start off. Got notes. Sorry if I keep looking over off screen. I'm looking at my phone for notes because I forget his name. But the
I
Survivor
also have
producer,
notes.
because it's not just Jeff running the show. There's a bunch of he might be the top guy, but there's a bunch of producers on Survivor. The second guy, like the second biggest guy on the show, forget his
Uh-huh.
name. He did an interview a couple years ago where someone from I think Entertainment Weekly asked him, "What does it take to pick a season theme? What's the pitching process like?" Because we have some repeats, we have some seasons that are clearly a one and done, not meant to go past. Some themes that probably they wanted to go to be a recurring thing, like
Okay.
um, Cook Islands. I think they thought, oh, this is something we could do more. Or Edge of Extinction, which they did Edge of Extinction, but the whole season wasn't centered around it. So he has four things that he said they base season themes on. I'm going to try to prove why I think a cold weather season would work for all of his criteria. Before
Okay.
I start, though, Gideon, do you have any like opening statement of why you think in advance it's just not going to work?
I have a number of reasons why I don't think a cold season would work. Really, the number one thing for me would probably be safety. Cold is a lot harder to deal with than the hot. When you're
Mm-hmm.
cold, when you're hot, you can do simple things like take off clothes, drink water. Cold, you have to add layers. You can't just dump people in hot water. You have to slowly warm yourself back up, or else you'll go into shock. There's a lot of like factors. I mean, I have a little article that I pulled up myself. I did some research as well. And it says, and it's basically just explains why being in the freezing cold as opposed to the sizzling heat, which one is worse. And basically it says that cold weather is a lot worse than being in the heat for those reasons, and as well as I think it says here like the only way that a cold, like being in the cold, is good is if you're doing like extraneous physical activity the whole time. So I guess you can make that case, but I don't know. I just think medically, like, it's a lot more risky to be in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Loose fingers. I mean,
yeah.
You're telling people to build a shelter, like, and survive in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot harder.
All right, I have
I don't think
my
they'll even be
workarounds.
able to make. How are they even going to make fire?
I'll have my workarounds. I'll have my.
Okay.
I have my ideas. Okay. Good opening statement. Everything you said is 100% true. It's just, is there a way to work around those? And I think I've thought of some ideas. I think. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I think your concerns could be potentially addressed.
Okay.
Before we go on, though, just going to tell everyone, smash the like button, subscribe, check out our TikTok, check out our Discord. The links to both of those are in the description.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe. And also, if you click on the description and join the Discord, you'll be able to talk to me all the time. And I know you all love me, so.
Hey, I'll be there too.
No, Adam's not as important. He has terrible opinions.
All right. Going off of that, Survivor cold weather season. Okay. Here's the four things that the second or third in command of the show has said is the criteria for what has to pass to make a season come into fruition. First, is there fan interest in this new thing? I think that the main concern for a cold weather season, and probably the only concern, is just, like you said, is player safety.
Yeah.
If you ask fans, like, hey, we found a way to make a cold weather season work, would you guys want to do it? Like, if Survivor did a poll on their Twitter, would you guys want to see a cold weather season? I guarantee it's almost 100% yes.
Look, I'll give you that I want to see it happen.
Mm-hmm.
However, safety.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know why I'm looking at the chats here. Everyone's calling you sus. No one's calling me sus, so. All right. Case in point. Okay. Moving on from that, because that's the first. To me, no, I don't think anyone can argue that. I think any Survivor fan would admit that, yes, there is interest, especially now, because I think while we still love Survivor and will always watch, I think most fans will admit that the season theming has gone a little stale. I mean, in the past 5 years, we redid Brains, Bronze, Beauty, Game Changers. Game
Changers wasn't really Game Changers.
Yeah. Millennials and Gen X was a good idea. David and Goliath was a good idea. Ghost Island, Edge of Extinction, no. Island of the Idols was a bad idea. Winners at War was a good idea. Obviously, I'm not saying they've all been bad in the last couple years, but I think Survivor could use a refresher. And this isn't just that's a cool new idea. This would be the biggest game-changing
Uh-huh.
theme switch ever. Like Blood and Water was a big switch. All Stars was a big switch at the time. Returning players, fans' favorites, half returnees, half newbies. That was a
Yeah.
big thing. Redemption Island with the captains. Blood and Water was a huge switch. Winners at War isn't really a switch. It's because we've always been waiting for it. This, I think, would be the single biggest switch in history. Probably
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
The only one I could think of is maybe All Stars, because we hadn't even thought of people could actually come back. So maybe that was a bigger switch. But I just think it would be cool, because if it does work, it's not like it's a one and done. That's the thing. This season has recurring potential.
Okay.
Like Ghost Island has no recurring potential. Winners at War has no recurring potential unless we do it 20 more years from now. We have more winners. Fans versus favorites had recurring potential. They just did it too soon, so they didn't have the right cast. This, to me, if it works, it opens up a whole new. And I'm not saying Survivor should switch to being cold weather. But if it worked and you would one cold weather for every 3 warm.
Uh-huh.
So, do you have any debate on if there'd be fan interest, or
okay? I'm not gonna debate fan interest, because even myself, a skeptic, is I kind of want to see it happen, because I'm not gonna lie. I think it would be. I mean, we've seen a lot of seasons not happen on a beach, but we had one season that the conditions were just so harsh. They're not near water at all, which I guess you can make the point that they can melt snow for water now if they want. But we had one season, and you know what I'm talking about, that the conditions were so harsh it made the season drag, because they're just they can't go anywhere, and they're gassed. And now it's Africa.
Right.
And now instead of throwing people into a hot desert, you're throwing people into a cold desert.
Yeah. So fan interest, yes.
Fan interest, yes.
Okay.
But that.
Okay. Second thing he said, is it cost effective? Now, I'm not going to lie here. Of course, a cold weather season is going to be more expensive than a warm weather season, because there's more safety precautions that have to be taken. They have to have extra layers of clothing. But is it exponentially more? I can't think of anything that would make it exponentially more cost effective. And
Peters,
Survivor.
How is the camera equipment going to survive in the cold? You're gonna have to get covers for that. You're gonna have to get more proper housing for the hundreds and hundreds of people who are on the crew.
Well, see, that's the thing, is the crew in a normal Survivor season does stay at pretty nice resort.
Also, you're gonna have to. I know the guy who did the logo said Russia, but how the frick are you gonna film in a actual communist country?
Yeah. Well, Russia's not communist anymore.
Well, yeah, but still, it's a little sus to film in Russia. It's it's still not as easy to go film over in Fiji.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing too that I'll get out of the way now. I think when people hear cold weather season, I think what pops into most people's heads is a blizzard, snow, high snow. People wearing 8 layers, where they're the kid in Christmas Story, bubble wrapped, just freezing all the time. Yeah. Just because it's cold weather doesn't mean it could be a small, tiny layer of snow. It could be
okay. I think what could work, if you ask me, is I don't know if anybody would get this, but I liked the Hunger Games for a while, and there were some environments in the Hunger Games that was it was cold, it was never a blizzard over there, but it was sometimes this much of snow, sometimes you can even see the grass, but it's still cold. And I think maybe that much would be okay because I think that's manageable. I mean, if you have a fire and you're near fire and then you're allowing some of the obviously you're going to have to allow the contestants to bring more than the clothes on their back. Like
Right.
they're going to a photo shoot, like sometimes happens, In Survivor, we have people get told they're going to a photo shoot, but really they're going on the show. So they end up on the show wearing jeans like Rupert or something like that. But,
Yeah.
Obviously to adapt to the cold conditions, so people don't lose fingers and toes, they'll have to be allowed to have gloves and very thick socks, multiple layers of socks. And toboggans. But
Yeah.
I think if you now I like that. I like what you're saying there. Wait, when you're saying like not a blizzard. Because I
Right.
think honestly if it's a blizzard it's just not even going to be fun because the
Yeah.
the contestants are literally just going to turn into icicles.
Right.
Like and they're just not going to move or strategize at all.
And here's the other thing too is, as far as being outdoors, I think that the only time you should be outdoors, like you could make tribal council indoors. That's easy.
What?
They spend what?
Indoor tribal council.
Yeah.
Isn't that going to mess up the vibe?
I mean, you could make it look like it's outdoors, but you could. So tribal council could, or tribal council could be outdoors. Challenges would have to be outdoors. If it's just a thin layer of snow, all you got to do is the normal Survivor challenges. Like snow might slow you down like 5%, but other
I think
than
the
that,
snow can make for some really cool challenges. I agree.
Yeah. The only thing that would have to be eliminated from challenges if there's snow is the water
swimming.
challenges.
Yeah, the water
That's the only thing. But is that really like going to make or break a season if we have to eliminate water challenges?
You could have a challenge where it's like they used to do
I-
like how long can you be in the water without drowning? It could be like how long can you stay in 20-degree water without getting out? But then people might die. But it'd still be funny.
Yeah. Teach them how to ice skate or something. I mean, you could do challenges like on the ice. Like,
you could. That would be interesting. Like very thick ice, of course. But you could do like where they have to slide and crap. Yeah.
Yeah. Now
sledding. Anyways, go.
Yeah, sledding. Skiing, snowboarding. Here's the thing: is like David mentions, they film Alone in the Survivor spinoff on Netflix in Northern Canada.
I have seen that, but the difference between Alone and Survivor is Alone is with trained professionals that are meant to deal with these conditions.
That's true.
So maybe if you have a season that is full of survival experts, I wouldn't mind being in a blizzard.
So that's another thing I was going to mention. And even if you can't find survival experts, instead of just them getting casted and then flying out, they could go through like a week or two of like survival training, So they're at least a little bit, go through like an intense week or two or even like a month of how to survive, as opposed to them just being, random people out there. So if challenges are outside, tribal council could be outside. Here's the thing: is the only thing that would have to be inside is instead of having is like their house where they stay at, especially at nighttime. So instead of having a shelter, they could have what I've called a lodge, where it's like a big area where they have like the center room that everyone sleeps. It's not going to be like a resort, like beautiful resort, but there's going to be a fire and you have to keep the fire going. But as long as you keep the fire going in the center of the main room, then in theory, you'll be warm. Like it'll be vented enough that this fire, if it keeps going. So you have to make the fire yourself. They'll give you a kit, but you have to leave the lodge to go get the fire. There would be water available for everyone. There would be as many blankets and as many there would be no comfort reward. You would get comfort. Like that would just be given to you. But if you wanted to leave the lodge, you would have to, make sure you're properly dressed. You still have to go get firewood. So if you would do strategizing, you would have to give up the comfort of being inside near the fire to go outside to do strategizing and talking, which is going to
adds a
be tough.
layer. It adds a layer to it, though. It's like you could use
Double
that as
entendre there.
You could add that in your final jury speech. Like, I literally spent 50% of my time outside in the freaking cold just to strategize with different people.
Yeah. And again, I'm talking like at minimum 20 degrees. Like, I'm not talking 5 degrees, -4 degrees with snow, like literally minimum 20 degrees cold weather. So, yeah. Now, there could be other rooms in the lodge too. Like, it could be kind of like an igloo with pathways and stuff. So that would mean another thing too is there's no allure to staying at the shelter and Survivor. The only thing I can think of is, even if you say, oh, it's more comfortable, is laying out in the sand really less comfortable than laying on bamboo sticks? So, like, there's really no allure. There's no reason to stay at the shelter in Survivor except to socialize. There's no, you know what I mean? It's not like it's maybe if you won the comfort reward, like when everyone eats, you go to the shelter because that's where they make food. Okay, that's temporary though. But if you do this, there's an allure because the lodge or the shelter, that is where it's warm. That's where it's comfortable. So you have to basically like fight the urge to stay where it's warm and nice. That's not to say that it's, super 5-star resort inside, outside it's blistering cold. I'm talking like if it's cold enough that like you could be out there in like decent winter clothing for a couple hours, you would still probably be okay. That's the maximum coldness, I would think. So when you take all that, it's going to cost more than a warm weather season. Of course it's going to cost more. But is it going to cost so much more that it would break the bank to the number 3 most watched show in Canada, the number 8 most watched show in America, and still one of the single most watched reality TV show around the world? I don't think it's going to break the bank by any means.
Okay. Well, what's your next point?
Well, the next point is, would contestants play? I think if the first time you would try this, if you would ask returnees, it'd probably be no. Returnees would probably only do this if it's been proven once or twice. If you were asking newbies and said, hey, you're on Survivor, however, it's a cold weather season, would they still go? You might have some dropouts. You might have.
As somebody who's applied for Survivor, I would murder to be on this show. So of course I would say yes.
Same.
Of course.
Yeah. I think if you're a recruit, you might be like, maybe I'll wait for the warm weather. If you're a fan of the show, I don't think anyone would say no. Because if Survivor, they cover themselves as much as possible. Like, if they didn't think it was 100% safe, they're not going to risk. Like, the whole show could get shut down if something happens. Like, survivors get frostbite.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much you can sign a waiver or like whatever they make contestants do, because we know they obviously have to sign waivers and fill contracts and things like that. But no matter what, like, if somebody does even like lose a finger or worst case scenario die, then I mean there's still serious implications.
Yeah. And all the rewards would be like warm food rewards as opposed to just like, what, like sometimes they do like sandwich rewards or a cold beer. Or sometimes I'm sure the food has been sitting out for a bit. I mean, every food reward would have to be like a nice warm thing.
Yeah, I don't know how they survived. I don't know how they survived in Africa, but
yeah,
definitely.
I mean, Africa was up to like 130 degrees. Could you imagine? Like, if it gets 80, I'm like dying. That's me.
Well, that's just
130. Yeah, 130.
That's why.
So,
I mean, that's why Africa was so slow, though.
mhm. Yeah. But the extreme heat makes you sluggish and tired, whereas extreme cold makes you edgy and uppity. So I feel like it would give the opposite effect. Um, you could have snowball fights. Snowball fight challenge. Final four. Snow fight challenge.
Final Four $1,000,000 instead of fire making challenge. It's how many snowballs can you make in 10 minutes? It's like yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw David, who's in the chat room here. His other comment was the challenge filmed in Iceland this year. So they had some cold weather challenges. Now when they're not doing challenges,
obviously the challenge is completely different. But
yeah, but as far as the challenge aspect, it was all outdoors in the cold, and it worked. It worked for them. Now, I would say if this did return, I would say amp it up. Like if it worked perfectly, I would say
put them in a blizzard.
Amp it up. We'll see. But and here's the thing: I'm by no means a safety expert, and I by no means know anything about survival in the cold. And yet, I feel like I've made a few good points of workarounds. Now, if you actually consult with a safety expert, with a cold weather survival expert, I'm sure there's 30 great ideas of how to make this work that someone like me would just never even think of. Yeah, I mean, it would be a little different having like a lot of stuff indoors because Survivor is more of an outdoor thing. But again, I'm not saying the lodge has to be like this beautiful chiseled hardwood floors. Like it could look like a crappy log cabin, like a abandoned log cabin.
Well, I mean, you think, and also you have to think like, well, they filmed in freaking Guatemala, and they basically stayed in a what's it called? They basically stayed with a shelter, sort of like they had kind of the base of a shelter already. Yeah. And so and some people didn't always like that, but I mean, obviously, yeah, I think every contestant should get a safety blanket, like one of those plastic blankets, like the ones that do nothing but keep you warm, no comfort in them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then
hand warmers, and I mean, give them like good, nice, like top tier, like the best gloves.
Gabon had huts. Good point.
The best socks that you could get.
You could give them a broken hut and force them to rebuild it.
People are already thinking of great reward ideas here. You could go ice fishing for food. You could go ice fishing. You could go snow, hunting for bears. I don't know what you hunt for in the snow, but you said bear traps, rabbit traps. You could eat the snow. If you're ever thirsty, just eat the snow. Not the yellow snow, but looking at some of the other people are making some good suggestions here.
Alone does as they start the season at the end of the fall. I know what Alone is, and I've watched Alone, but it's just
okay. So it gets more cold as the season goes on.
It's completely different because these people are trained survival experts.
Right.
I mean, I'm a Boy Scout, and I got my little wilderness survival badge, but golly, I could not survive on my own.
See, for everyone watching this not live later on, this is why you got to watch these episodes live when they're airing, because we put up people are making some really good suggestions that I didn't think of, and some skeptics. There's some skeptics in here. This is a great suggestion.
I hate my fans. I'm like,
so like I said, guys, subscribe every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're doing one of these. When Survivor Season 41 comes on in the fall, they just started resuming filming Season 42. So that's...
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. So that's good. No, they didn't... Sorry, they didn't resume, but they're back on schedule because they're still finishing up 41. So
Okay.
41 September, 42 March. That's what I've been hearing.
Okay, good. Yeah, so overall, I think you definitely made me think about wanting to have a cold season. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody, if you're watching currently, make sure you subscribe. If we get to 1,000 subs, then we will have Charlie D'Amelio come on and talk about Survivor with us. And I know everybody wants to see that. Also, go follow our Tickety Talk at The Survivor Buffs and join the Discord that is in the description as well. And get talking to us right after this.
Absolutely. This will be the last time you see this background. I'm at my parents' house in Pittsburgh, but I am moving back to New York City in a couple days, so I will have a totally different. It'll probably look bad next week because I won't have anything set up. But getting my own little studio, getting a mic upgrade, should be fun.
Really? Mic upgrade?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna finally get that Shure microphone.
I might have to upgrade. I can't be outdone by you. You know?
I'll get one too.
I might get one. Who knows?
All right, guys. If you're watching this not live, leave a comment. We want to hear what you guys think. Like, do you think? There you go. Do you guys think that cold weather season would work? Leave a comment. Coming from the random dude you've never seen. Subscribe, like, all that, and yeah, we have a great episode next week. We're going